this tutorial video, I will demonstrate how to work with variable labels and units in the KIWI Explore module. KIWI Explore provides a library of labels and units that can be used for the creation of your EDA displays. I will talk about this library, the scope of the library, and how you can customize labels and units. Then I will illustrate where those labels and units are used in EDA displays. And I will conclude by talking about the hierarchy existing between the various ways you can provide labels in KIWI Explore. In the interface of KIWI Explore, you can open the library of variable labels and units by clicking on the Configure menu and selecting Variable Labels and Units. This pop-up window opens. It contains 3 columns, one for the variable names, one for the variable labels associated with the variable, and the last column is a column for the unit of the associated variables. You can see a quite complete list of variables with their labels and units sometimes. The fields which are shown with the light background, either a white background or very light gray, are labels and units associated with the default library. All the fields in green are either variables that would have been modified, either in terms of their label or units, or they could be new variables that were added in the library. You can click on the Add button and enter any type of name. I'm just going to use the AAA and provide a custom label and a crazy unit. And you can see that this field is displayed with a green background. I can also customize or modify a label or a unit. So for example, in the AUC, in this case, I will provide a unit of milligram times hour per ml. Now this row shows up in green. You can delete custom variables. And you can also click on the delete button for variables that are part of the default library. When you click on this button, what happens is that you will actually remove all the elements that were customized, but the variable itself and its default label and unit would still be displayed, this time with a default background. So this is how you can access to the library and modify labels and units, as well as adding new variables. The scope of this library of variables is a stage folder. So if you go to Manage page, this folder, demo stage, is a stage folder. So again, the hierarchy in the navigation tree in Manage or Workbench is a drug folder, then a project folder, then a stage folder. Any data file, any non-mem run in this stage will have access to this library of labels and units. So if I open Explore for this data set, which was different from the one I had in the previous Explore module window, in this case, I have a completely different set of EDA available, but my list and my library of variable and units is exactly the same as the one shown in the previous Explore module. Similarly, the library of labels and units is also shared with Visualize, the Visualize module. So if I open a Visualize module, which is the module for creating model diagnostics visuals, and click on the Configure Variable and Labels, you can see that again, I see the same library with the same custom variables. If I make a change in Visualize in this list of variable labels and units, this will be reflected in the Explore module. So there's a shared resource of information between Explore and Visualize. If I go back to my original Explore window, I will now illustrate how those variable labels and units are used in the actual EDA. I will use an example of a scatter plot, but the idea and concept I will describe applies on any type of EDAs, whether it is plots or table EDAs. I have uploaded two or open Explore Live with two datasets that are very similar. They differ by the name of some of the variables. Actually, the variables I will use for my graphs. So this label and units demo 2.csv contain an age, sorry, not an age M, weight M, CRCL M, and a GTreat M variable. And I have created a scatter plot that shows the value of the CRCL M versus WTKG M, stratified by the GTreat M variable. None of those variables were listed in the library of labels and units. Therefore, KIWI doesn't know what custom label to provide, and instead uses the name of the variables as the title of the axis, as well as the title of the legend. There was no unit applied to this GTreat M, so the legend will only list the actual numerical values. If you were to stratify the data, not within a panel, but across panels, so using an interpage stratification, the name of the variable will be used in the names of the folders, which are also used for the titles of the plot. So essentially what it means is if KIWI doesn't find a labels and unit in the library, it will use the name of the variable. In contrast, I have the same similar data set in which I've set the similar variables, so my CRCL variable, my WTKG variable, and my GTreat variable. And these are variables that are defined in the library. So CRCL is here and has a default label of creatinine clearance and ml per minute. The G-treat was customized to treatment and a unit of milligram. And you can see that this milligram unit is now used in the legend and automatically appended to the numerical values of the viable. And finally, the body weight is fairly down the list. And you can see a weight in kilogram. So these labels would be used again in folder names if variables were used for inter-page stratification. They would be used in table headings, table titles if there is some form of stratification. So anywhere, anytime KIWI can find a custom label, it will use it. There are, however, ways to override these labels and units contained in the library. This is something that you would do by providing information, for example, on the axis title. So if I go to the configure, the profile configure module, and I select the profile that was associated with the absence of labels and units. If I go to my x-axis menu and provide some label for WTKGM and do the same for my CRCLM. Plots are automatically rerun because I'm modifying a profile that has been already run for one plot, for one dataset. If I refresh that, now you can see that the labels that I provided in the profile are used instead of the variable names. These labels would supersede any labels contained in the library of labels and units. There is another place in the EDA profiles where information that you would provide would override the information from the variable and variable labels and unit library. If you go back to the profile configuration and update the profile without labels and units, confirm the rerun. Instead of using a grouping variable, I will use GTRTM as a conditioning variable, so a paneling variable. And I will provide custom treatment. And just because I know that I will have multiple panels per plot, I will increase that to 4. So this is rerunning the profile. And now if I go back to Explore and refresh, you can see that now the information is stratified and paneled by this GTRTM variable. and the custom treatment information that I provide supersede or is displayed in the strip if I was using a variable that had a variable label and unit in the library. This the information from the profile would supersede the information from the library. So this gives you an introduction and a good overview of the use of labels and units in EDA plot. If you have any question, let us know at KIWI support at cognigencorp.com. Thank you.